on to the Monster Hunter movie, and I was surprised when I saw the Monster Hunter movie, everything that's been done with that movie in 4. It's probably the most completed work and maybe a release date that we can actually rely on. I know everything's been delayed this year, but I do feel like these video game movies often are hit with those walls, a la the Uncharted movie, getting a release date every year, and then every year gets pushed back another year with another director and another script. I really do think that the Monster Hunter movie might have a chance here, especially when you see who's playing the lead and who's directing the movie. Mila Jovovich, I hope I pronounced that correctly, you know, the Resident Evil girl, the model. I get what they were doing with the Resident Evil franchise, and while it was a nominal success, it is still a video game movie franchise that I do think we need to respect a little bit more, if not for the sheer volume of films they were able to make, which means it was somewhat profitable. She is by no means a small name in Hollywood, and the movie has a female lead character, which is totally cool, right? A dedicated script for this female lieutenant. I think that's really dope. I love stories that are told with a purpose in mind. We have our main character, and we're going to be telling her story. I think that's pretty dope. I'm not 100% familiar with Monster Hunter. I did like World. That was really the only one I played to completion, and I did enjoy it, loved it, reinvigorated the series, and I thought it was pretty dope. I know hardcore Monster Hunter fans really hated it, and I, for one, really didn't like the reveal of the new Monster Hunter for the Nintendo Switch. I feel like it was a total cop-out. They didn't want to put the big budget in to make another great Monster Hunter title. I'm sure it will appease hardcore fans, but it's definitely a game I won't be playing. So I'm unfamiliar with most of the characters in the lore. I'm unfamiliar with this storyline. If you are, let me know. When Lieutenant Artemis, which Artemis is a character that is used widespread throughout mythology and video games, and her loyal soldiers are transported to a new world, they engage in a desperate battle for survival against enormous enemies with incredible powers. Feature film based on the video game by Capcom. This sounds like a plot to a Monster Hunter game. The director is Paul W.S. Anderson. The writer is Paul W.S. Anderson and Konami Fujioka, which wrote the video game series. This is a very good sign that Konami is on the project. I'll show you the pictures of these people in a second. The stars are Mila Jovovich, TonyJaw, which I'm super excited. He could be considered one of the more brutal fighters, especially with the Muay Thai that he does. I just think he's really dope, and if you haven't seen some of his movies, mainly the one with the elephant where he's sitting on top of it, that like trilogy, it was super dope. I'm forgetting the name of it, but TonyJaw is a huge win for this movie, I'll tell you that. And T.I., which I have no clue what he's going to be doing, but if you don't know who T.I. is, well, here you go.
West Side Bankhead Zone 1, what it is, homie. You know I got to put it down for all the dope boys in the trap star. Hey!
But I'm sure he's going to bring a little bit of comedy, a little bit of seriousness, and a little bit of color to this movie. He's listed as Link. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe Link Pearl. And I've never really said in a movie that, oh, T.I. was the worst part of this movie. So I believe he's going to do exactly what he's done in everything else he's probably been in, which is be an okay choice, which, hey, fine. Konami has did Rise, which was, that's the Monster Hunter I'm disappointed with. Monster Hunter on the PlayStation 2, and then the one I hold most dear, Monster Hunter World. So this is a really good sign, right? We have one really great one there, AAA, huge title, brought in new audience, Monster Hunter, good script. I mean, the story was whatever, but it does have a certain appeal, and taking away that the childish nature from Monster Hunter and allowing him to write something a little bit more serious, I think will be a huge benefit for the Monster Hunter movie. So let's look a little bit at Paul W.S. Anderson and see what he's worked on. And you can see that he worked on Resident Evil, Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, and The Three Musketeers. So now we have a video game guy, right? Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil Apocalypse. However you feel about those movies, the fact is that they are video games made to movies. So the guy does know what he's been trying to do, and therefore he might be getting better at it. So we can have some faith that this movie might work out. I'm going to talk about my feelings on the movie overall. However, we should have some faith in this guy, as in his Apocalypse was with Mila, and he brought Mila back from Monster Hunter. So these two have chemistry. So therefore, they have the makings of something, right? They have the makings of something. I necessarily wouldn't have put them both back together again, as you don't want it to feel too much like a Resident Evil movie because the same director and the same actress. If they have chemistry and they can make this work, I don't necessarily see a huge problem with it. So for my thoughts with the Monster Hunter movie, I'm just a little surprised that this got pushed so hard. Cast list is crazy. They have the most done out of all of the video game movies I've covered and the ones I've yet to cover, which is so surprising. They have a release date for the end of the year. Again, so surprising. I don't know if that's still sticking. The point is, how did so much of this get done? Well, the only thing I could come up with was the success of Monster Hunter World. I understand that hardcore fans hated it because it was hitting a new audience like a Final Fantasy 15. However, the success can't be denied, and if you've been a Monster Hunter fan this whole time and you didn't like Monster Hunter World, well, I'm asking to maybe revisit why you didn't like it. And now it has spurred, in my opinion, a full-length feature film, which should make those fans happy, I would assume. I haven't done too much digging into how they feel about the movie, but I do think that is the reason why we're getting this movie at all, and it was pushed so hard. Thanks for sticking with the channel. I know I was away for a few days. Clips will be out every day when there is not a talk show episode, which shouldn't be too frequent, honestly. I know I talk a lot. I might have rambled and maybe even threw a couple jabs out there to some of the shitty movies. I'm the grown kid, and I'll catch you back in another video.
Yo, it's the Grown Kid Talk Show.